Hi guys, what's up guys? There are a bunch of new things that I'd like to introduce to you, and they are called adjustment layers. Yeah. So here's how we get to them. So this is the place we use to create new fields or adjustment layer. We could also come to image and do adjustments, but the reason why I don't really like this one is because it's destructive. Destructive basically means that there's no way to go back after I've clicked yes on it. Now there are a bunch of effects we have here that we don't have here, but 99% of the time, whatever I'm looking for here, I can find it right here. And this is not destructive. So this is how we get it done. So let's get back to those our images before, and let's put the blending mode to normal. So here's what happens. If I want to adjust this image, let's reduce this. If I want to adjust this image, maybe I don't like the color of her skin tone. What I could do is I could maybe come to my levels or my curves or my brightness or my exposure. So I'm just going to give you basic understanding of how they all work, and then you need to maybe subscribe to our other classes where I go in depth into these things. So a levels basically is dealing with the dynamic range. That's what it does really. It's just dealing with, this is black, this is pitch black, and this is like deep white or something. Like I don't know. Would I call it pitch white? I don't know. I just call it white. So if I bring this up, it's basically increasing the highlights, making the the really bright parts of the image really bright. So what I'm gonna do is, if I really want to get her skin tone right, is I'm gonna bring up this part so we can get the highlights on her face well, and then I'm gonna take this midpoint, rather than take it here so that it completely disappears. I'm gonna move it to a point where I feel like the blacks are black and the skin tone just looks right. So that's about 0.70. It's going to change with each image. So you don't have to, really memorize the numbers. You just have to train your eyes to see where the skin tone starts, because this now is looking really extreme. This is so contrasty. I want to take it back to where it starts to look okay. 65 is good, but I'm just going to go for 60 just to push that envelope just a bit. Then I'm going to drag the darks to make them darker. See? So let's look at the adjustments and see what it looks like. Woo! Woo! That's some major adjustment. Now this is really contrasty. This is really bright, but I just wanted it to be overly blown out so you can see the difference. So gonna come up. Okay, let's just delete that layer and maybe pick another adjustment layer just to show you how these work. Hue and saturation. So hue basically means the amount, or the amount of a particular color contained in that color, right? Saturation basically means how. So think about it. I like to think about saturation in terms of hot or cold. So hot means it's really saturated, meaning the color is really present, it's really glowy. See what happens when I add saturation to her. She looks beautiful now, by the way. If I was to take away saturation, she'd look a bit dull, like something's wrong. But here she looks really crisp. If I was to change the hue, see, we're starting to change her skin tone. So this is how we get really crazy skin tones in here. So if I wanted it to be really crazy, I was just going to work with this part. See? If I wanted to add lightness or darkness to it. So this affects the whole image, right? Because that's what we're doing. But there are ways to do more crazy manipulations. For example, see how this has a layer mask? If I was to grab my brush and just paint with my black, see, I can basically get, if I paint over her face, I can get her former skin tone. So we could do some sort of, crazy cool effect. See? So now it's like, oh shit, what's happening to her? So that's something we can look at, and then, just really make it look dope. See? So we're going to remove that. Right. So if we do this, it's really blown out. Let's just take it down a bit. Take it down a notch. Take this down a notch. Just wanted to adjust it a little bit. So what you want to try to do is, stay clear from trying to make it overly adjusted off of just that, because you never know if you're not working with the desktop that's actually calibrated. You may put it on somewhere else and it will not sound good, or it will not look good rather. I say sound good because I actually produce too. So we're gonna go back to hue and saturation, and we're gonna just bump up her saturation just a teensy tiny bit. She looks so nice right now. She looks like her skin looks normal, right? So here's what happens if I take these away. See? She looks very bland, not much to look at. If I was to... So what I did was I did Control G after I selected both of them and it grouped them. So if I took this away, very bland. If I brought it back, very, very crisp, very sharp. So that's kind of what adjustment layers do for you. There's a bunch of things you could play around with. So play around with them and let me know in the comments if there are things you would like to learn about these things. And we can go from there. All right, guys. Bye.